What is happening, everyone? Welcome to Dr. Prepper. Today we are talking about how to go about getting into prepping and becoming a prepper and doing all the things necessary to get through a bad situation, whether it's just solely to yourself or in a general sense, whether it's your town, your city, your state, the whole country. And if you have not yet started into the preparedness world, and it is something that you want to do, but then it seems very overwhelming in order to get started, or after you maybe started, you don't know which way to continue. And we want to try and break that down today a little bit to get a better grasp on things and how to go about doing certain things and what's worked for me. And I'm sure there can be comments from people that things that have worked for them that might be different. So for me, when I first got into things, I was more on the backpacks, guns, ammo, gun parts, that sort of thing. And that's kind of where things really started to get more escalated in the sense of getting prepared and being prepared. And along with all that comes flashlights and some other various things just because of the weapons, and then knives and stuff start to get incorporated in that. And then it kind of just expands. And the best way that, for me, the way I found is to make lists. And it might sound stupid or it might be something you don't want to do, but whether it's a physical, written list that you make, or if it's something you do on the computer as a digital type copy, one way or the other, a list. Me personally, I like a written list, and then I will update that list on a new page as time goes on, whether it's things to do, things to get, organizing my thoughts. But you can break up the preparedness genre into a bunch of different genres and basically things to set your sights on. And whether it's starting with flashlights, and that's perfectly acceptable, starting with flashlights. If you don't have anything and you start with flashlights, that is a perfect starting point. You can start with flashlights, get lanterns, get batteries for those flashlights, get chargers for those flashlights, that sort of thing. You kind of cover all bases when it comes to the flashlights and your lighting game. And you can start there and kind of maybe not necessarily finish that whole section, so to speak, but you can get a couple different size flashlights, some ones you can carry around every day, some bigger ones such as this, maybe for like property and that sort of security, whatever type it is. And then lanterns, which are going to give you 360 degree light. They're easy to hang. I am a huge fan of lanterns, so I kind of have based a lot of what I have around flashlights, yes, but I have many lanterns. Those would be my go-to source of lighting if the power were to be out or that sort of thing. And I also have a multitude of different lanterns. I have rechargeable ones, I have D-cell style ones, I have AA battery ones, and then I also have propane ones. So I'm kind of covered when it comes to lanterns. But just starting off with something as simple as lighting. You can make a list and put lighting, and there's ways to different acronyms and whatnot of breaking things down in order to keep your thoughts straight. But to keep things in even simpler terms, you can do lightings or lighting, bladed objects or knives, and just make different lists food items and make grocery lists and drink lists and that sort of thing. Whether it's certain supplies like a generator, just make lists of things you need to get, things that you need to practice or do or want to try to learn how to do, and just making lists on top of lists. And it's ways that you can really keep your thoughts organized, see what you need to get. And what I started to do as time progressed is I made those lists, and I had a bunch of different subjects, and I had items under those subjects, and I would spread out maybe for a week or 2 or 3, get some money, and I would get a flashlight, for instance, and I would focus on lighting for a couple weeks. Then for a couple weeks, I might focus on grabbing a few different fire starters and sizes, or different items that make fire or help preserve items that you start fire with, like a fire sleeve from Exotac, stuff like that. And then for a couple weeks, maybe get some fixed blades or some folding knives, and you just keep continuously spreading it out, and you can do things that way. That way, if there is an emergency, you might not have your lighting game completely covered with lanterns and different flashlights and all that sort of thing, but you have one flashlight that works good, you have one knife that works good, and you're covering more area in a sense. You might not be getting as much in each area, but you have something to cover you. And that's the way I would attack it. And if I could go back, that's probably how I would have done it the whole time. But sometimes my focus would take me to ammo, and I would stay stuck on ammo for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and not focus on anything else. There's been times where my only focus was on food and drinks, and that's a good place to have your focus, because that's something without question, even if things continue to run the way they have been, that's something you can invest in and be sure that your investment is good, because it's something you need. You buy food that you like to eat, you buy drinks that you like to drink, and you kind of stock them items up, and it's a good investment because it's stuff that you consume on a daily basis, you use on a daily basis. And you can break it down from cool items, flashy items like knives and lights and lighters and fire starters, all the way down through your list of supplies like deodorants and things like shampoos, conditioners. You can cover medical side, make a list of medical supplies, whether it's triple antibiotic, Tylenol, Advil, sore throat spray, and the lists and the ideas continue. And even someone who's been prepping for 20 years will tell you, most of them will tell you, it is never over and it is never done, and it's not ever covered enough. What you have and your skill, the items you have and your skill should never stop expanding. Getting better items, better flashlights than you initially had, getting more well versed in how to use those certain items. You should never really quit expanding, whether it's the gear or how to use it, and more different techniques on how to use any given item. The more that you can have, the better quality that you can have on top of that, and how to use it is a huge safety net for everyone. But just know that this whole idea should be a way of life for everyone. There should, and know everybody's financial situations are different, and not everyone is the same, but the drive to want to have your shampoos stocked up, your conditioners, your deodorants, the things your toothpaste, your folding knives, your fixed blades, your flashlights, having, a stockade of that stuff is a great idea, and it feels good once you start accomplishing some things. You have some things that are gonna last and they're gonna work when you need them. And it's not every day that you might need 3 or 4 or 5 lanterns. It's not every day you need a propane heater for in the middle of winter, a fire starter, but it's good things to have. And there's no question about it. I would not change anything as far as getting into survival and preparedness and the EDC world, and eventually realizing how intertwined they both are. I've said it before, they are both intertwined at the hip. They flow in and out of each other. Everything that you basically have as an EDC can be used in a survival type situation, or when it pertains to preparedness and being prepared. It is just a great feeling to know that you are covered on a bunch of things. But I know what it feels like, especially if you're in the YouTube rabbit hole of watching different creators and trying to take in everything that they are saying, everything that they have. And that's a good way to get ideas on different gear that you can get, different ways of doing things, because everyone might have a little different way that they spark a ferro rod, or how to do this or how to make that. Everyone might be a little different, or what uses this item has, or how many uses this certain item has, like a handkerchief and how many uses it has, cotton balls, duct tape. The lists go on and on. A lot of things are not just one use type things. Some things are very useful in a multitude of different ways. Zip ties, the list goes on of things that are very useful and have multiple uses. And it can be very overwhelming trying to take all of that in and realizing how much can and is involved in the whole scheme of preparedness and survival. But, one day, 1 week, 1 month at a time, you take care of, if you stay on it, and even if you get one thing a week and it's, a $20 fire starter or a $30 flashlight, that is something. And every one thing that you pick up on a week-to-week basis, you are that much more ahead of the average person by a long shot, than you were sitting the 6 weeks before you started. There's just no question about it. The more items that you can retain and learn how to use that item properly, know what is involved with that item, maybe knowing if that item has multiple uses. Like I said earlier, it is just unending, the amount of knowledge and the different gear and how to use that different gear. It's just unending, and nobody ever has, very few people, I should say, have everything that they could possibly need and never have to go for a supply run or go get more flashlights or fire starters or knives or what have you, or going to the grocery store once a week, every other week. Even someone who is fairly well prepared has to go to the grocery store once every week or every other week just to get some things. So just stocking up on the things that you can, it is just a great idea. If you can allot some, and even if it takes 2 weeks to put, say there's an item that's $100 or $200, there's ways to make payments on those items, especially online with all the different, interest-free payment plans that you can do. That's a good way to get some more pricey items if you're on a limited budget. Or if something's $100 and it takes 2 weeks to get that item instead of just one because it's a little bigger purchase, then that is fine. Don't just throw your hands in the air and say, well, I can't get anything this week, so I might as well not bother getting anything. Save that $20-$30 for the next week and get that item that could really end up helping you in a certain situation. I try to remember, there's people that are brand new, haven't started. There's people who are brand new, just started. So there's certain things I would love to be able to convey. This isn't going to be a channel with a bunch of edits and cuts and flashy this, flashy that. That's not what I'm going to do here. We are going to be covering gear that I use, gear that I've tested, what works, what doesn't work, what I'm not 100%, skilled or sure of. We're going to cover everything, and we're going to talk about it in a basically very simple format. I would love to be able to get into certain things as far as the video and doing certain things, but that isn't what this is going to be about for quite a while. It won't, the content will not consist of a bunch of flashy edits and that sort of thing. It's going to be just straight information or straight conversation, and that'll be what it is. And we'll definitely be doing some more hands-on with, starting fires, testing certain flashlights, testing certain fixed blades. Definitely look forward to doing this one, and I hope you guys do too. This is a D2 fixed blade coming from Nedfoss, a very affordable offering. So if you're looking for a fixed blade, for instance, and a ferro rod because you don't have either, or what you have isn't maybe the greatest, or maybe you just want another one, a backup to your primary, I believe without testing this, thoroughly testing this, that this is going to be a great option. You have a nice thick spine, a good slicey blade coming in D2, nice thick G10 handles, full tang, of course, lanyard for a lanyard hole for a lanyard, if you get into any type of chopping. And then this also comes with a nice sheath, a nice way to clip this sheath on your belt, whether it's vertical or horizontal. And it comes with a ferro rod that does work pretty well. I think I've used it twice to see what's good with this thing, and the ferro rod is good to go as well. It's not the biggest ferro rod, probably 5,000 or 8,000 strikes, but that's plenty to get you going, get you started. This might be like 5,000 to 8,000. Maybe a little more. This is more like a 5,000 probably here, or maybe even a little less. And then that just, that's another thing. You can work up the different sizes and whatnot of the ferro rods you have. Go out and get something for now, and then maybe add to that one thing with an extra, maybe cheaper option. And then down the line, you can get a bigger, more expensive ferro rod that's 30,000 strikes or whatever. Just look at it as a big wall that you chip away at on a weekly, monthly basis. That is how I would look at it. And keep yourself organized with written lists, written notes, and that'll help keep you a lot more organized than you would have ever been if you didn't keep those lists. Check mark what you get, make new lists, as you go. And I think, it's a great start. That is a great start. Just getting yourself mentally ready, and knowing how to start attacking stuff and then start attacking everything. I hope somebody out there gets something out of that. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed yet. I would love to have you here. I hope this channel does very well for the benefits of everyone else. Getting something, even if it's just one thing out of one video. Love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.